कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः. So we continue from where we left. The topic was others' second visit at the Dakshineshwar temple. That's from the second part of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, the five-volume edition. This does not follow the, this is not arranged chronologically. There are different topics which, for some reason, M has chosen the topics and the incidents. Most of the incidents, he was the witness. So he has recorded, and it's an exact recording of what he heard, the questions being asked, Sri Ramakrishna answering them. So other is visiting the Dakshineshwar temple, and Sri Ramakrishna is trying to explain the way to God realization and also comparing the different methods which devotees of God employ to reach their goal. So he says, he gives a strange comparison. The love for Sri Krishna, which the gopis had, and the title that is given here is Tiger of Love. It seems strange that uh, love can be compared to a tiger. But the meaning here is Sri Ramakrishna is explaining what is meant by the tiger of love. He says, just as the tiger devours other animals, similarly, the tiger of love swallows lust, anger, and all such other enemies. Once you develop love for the Lord, lust, anger, and the rest disappear. The gopis, the milkmaids, had developed such love for Sri Krishna. Moreover, there is the collyrium of love. That is in English or Hindi, it is known as kajal. So Radha says, I see Krishna filling all the four directions. It's some kind of black suit, a paste made of black suit, which is applied to the eyes. Normally, it is used for enhancing the beauty of the eyes. But the idea here is that when one sees through this, everything appears a little dark. It's applied as a very thick paste in the eye. So he says, friend, I see Sri Krishna filling all the four directions. Gopis, or especially Radha, is saying. And her friend says that is because you have applied the collyrium of love to your eyes. That is why you see it so. It is said that if you use a collyrium made with the burnt head of a frog, you see snakes everywhere. Whatever the ash is made of, these are uh, village remedies or most of the things here. They were prevalent in those days. Nowadays, I doubt if these things are used to decorate the eyes. But anything that is burnt becomes a very strong or very nice antiseptic. Any burnt ash or anything. So you will find even the system of applying ash on the forehead, even if it is taken from a cremation ground, the ash is considered to be holy. Anything that has been burnt by the fire, by fire. So just as fire of knowledge burns our ignorance, so also this this is symbolic. You have to see it in a very symbolic way. So the burnt head of a frog, it's rather strange that these customs existed even there, and people used to believe that if you apply the collyrium, you can use any ash, anything that is burnt, ash made of uh, you if you use it, and apply the paste of made from that ash. They mix it with certain oil and it's refined, of course. They, he says, you see snakes everywhere. So what he is trying to imply here is that those who live only with lust and greed, who do not think of God even once, are bound souls. So what great work can they perform? And then he gives another examples. They are like mangoes pecked by crows. Such mangoes cannot be offered to the gods. Eating them yourself is also risky. So he's changing the topic now and giving another example that whatever you offer should be offered fresh. You don't normally offer a fruit which has been eaten or pecked by the crows. They are not considered to be holy enough uh, to be offered to the God, to the Lord. And it is not only not offered to the Lord, but even if you eat these half-eaten fruits, it is risky. So the next example he gives is bound souls, worldly people are like silkworms. Those of you who know how a silk is made, it's a cocoon that the silkworm weaves around itself, and unfortunately, it's a very cruel way of making silk. The silk, the thread that is made, the fiber of that cocoon is used to make the silk thread. Then uh, the silk is made, the silk cloth is woven out of it. So the cocoon has to be killed. They, though the silkworm makes a nice cocoon to protect itself, and the silkworm, those who harvest silk, I mean, those who prepare the silk, they take the silkworms and put them in hot boiling water, and the worm dies, unfortunately, and they take the uh, fiber and make silken thread with which they weave silk cloth. So, boundly souls are like silkworms. Nobody binds them. The silkworm binds itself, or you may say, surrounds itself with its own cocoon, makes its own cocoon, and thinks that it is safe. But unfortunately, it is bound. So, Sri Ramakrishna gives a wonderful example. Of course, there is the possibility that if you delay, if those who are rearing this silkworms, or normally it is done, most of the silkworms are seen on mulberry trees. So they find the mulberry tree very useful. That is where they breed these silkworms. But the cocoon has a chance if it can come out of the cocoon before it is harvested, before human beings come and destroy them. So that is the idea. The bound souls, the worldly people are like silkworms. They can come out of their cocoons if they so wished. But they have built their own homes and Maya does not allow them to escape. That's why it all ends with death. So with through these examples, they are little Sri Ramakrishna would never compromise. Whenever he spoke of bondage, whenever he spoke of God realization, he his standard was very high. Sometimes people may feel that the standards that he set are very high. Of course, now and then, out of compassion, he would come down to the level of those devotees and understand their problems in not being able to renounce the world totally. So he would tell them that slowly these things will happen, but as far as the ideal is concerned, he would not compromise and give such examples which apparently to people who are living in the world, obviously the audience who was sitting there or the devotees who had assembled there, they were all bound souls. Definitely everyone had a home. But he tells the danger. He is not afraid to express to them that these are the dangers. Now it's the choice is yours, what you do, how you handle this situation. But the examples he gave, Sri Ramakrishna gave, he did not consider whether it would hurt those people. Sometimes, as I said, he would be very compassionate and understand the difficulty and say, no doubt it is difficult, but for you there is a simpler path, and then you keep on calling the Lord, and then the things will be made, uh, the situation will become better for you. So, here he is comparing a bound soul who is bound to lust and greed and who builds a cocoon out of its own secretion. It's not that somebody else binds him. He has himself bound himself and within that cocoon which he has created, the silkworm. And there is a choice, even in spite of making a cocoon, when the silkworm grows, it has a chance to break open free. But if it doesn't, then obviously the mm, people will come and take those silkworms and kill them to get uh, the silk fiber. So liberated souls are not under the control of lust and greed. Those who are free, those who have never bound themselves with these cocoons are free. They are almost half free. Some clever silkworms cut their cocoons and come out, but they are very few. So it's only a very, very small creative minority. That is how the world is. Sri Ramakrishna even says that it is very rare that such silkworms manage to escape. And they are the lucky ones. All others are killed. But they are very few. But because of Maya and attachment, one remains forgetful. Not that the cocoon doesn't realize the danger of. So it tries to remain forgetful within the cocoon without trying making an effort to cut open and free oneself, thinking that it is safe. But after a certain time or after a certain period, they are bound to suffer the same fate as the others. Few attain spiritual awakening, few are not deluded by the magic of Maya, are not subject to the control of lust and greed. When the pot containing ashes from the maternity room falls on one's feet, the damn word of the magician can do no harm. One can see exactly what the magician is doing. So he gives another example, uh, which is very difficult to understand. That is why if you see the uh, American edition of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, uh, Swami Nikhilananda has very carefully avoided these examples and he has deleted this because it will not make sense to a person who is not born and brought up in rural Bengal. In India, normally a pot containing, you may call it a superstition, but it is a tradition which has been followed. Every country, every civilization, or every ethnicity will find some traditions coming from the hoary past. And we do not know who started them, but people do not want to defy. They just continue with those ancient, maybe they are tribal, they are very ancient when uh, people followed these things because they believed in evil spirits and because you see, religion began with nature worship. The forces of nature overwhelmed human beings. That's how religion began. When they were, when they saw that human beings are incapable of facing natural calamities as diseases, cyclones, heavy rain, thunderstorms. So they deified everything powerful that they say saw around them. That is how you have to look at these myths and all the different rituals that have developed over several centuries. It's not a question that somebody just sat down and created these rituals. These are all results of the nature worship, which is the most ancient or primitive form of worship. Human beings always felt that nature has a strange kind of control even if they obey all the laws of nature. Not that they wantonly uh, destroyed nature or whatever they wanted for their survival. That's why they say most of these so-called ancient people, though they were not they were not developed by modern standards, they were not developed, but at least they lived in harmony with nature. So there is a demand for a lot of people, especially to go back to these old primitive ways where you live with minimum needs in harmony with nature and in respecting nature to the extent of deifying everything that they saw around them. That is how these rituals have come. Now, one of the things is first thing that uh, demanded worship was the phenomena of fire. That is why the most ancient Hindu tradition, which is still surviving, you may call it as a, you may say it is a ritual. The fire worship is something which is persisted even today in some form or the other. Whether people know the meaning of that or not, it's a different thing. But you see, fire right from time immemorial, everybody, where most of the people, now you see, even in spite of so much of modern technology, the Californian fires are wreaking havoc on the uh, so much, and society has advanced so much. But then you see the fury of fire is still a force to reckon with. So naturally, they started worshipping the fire because they knew that if the fire is not compassionate to them, it can destroy them, especially when they lived in the forest. The forest fires can completely exterminate them. So fire was, they started worshipping fire in the thunderstorms in the Indian tradition. Even the Lord of rain, they call the Lord of rain. Rain is also worshipped as a deity. So that's why you find in most of the ancient religions, you will find the different forces of nature being worshipped. Later on, these different worship, modes of worship, like worshipping the fire, worshipping the wind or Vayu. Then we have the concept of Hanuman, the father of Hanuman, who is uh, the wind god. Then you, because the wind also can be a powerful force. If not controlled, it can destroy you. So whatever was more powerful than human beings, more powerful than what human beings can handle, that was worshipped. And everyone prayed to these forces so that they are compassionate and they don't show the evil side. The fire has an evil side, a good side also. It can help you to cook food, but at the same time, it can destroy your homes. So you have to pacify. That is how the Agni Devata concept came. And the Zoroastrians still today, they worship fire as a very holy thing, a very holy natural force of nature, which they do not want to uh, uh, they do not want to pollute that by offering a dead body. That's why they don't cremate, nor do they bury their dead, because they think such a unholy thing as a dead body should not be offered to Mother Earth. So they just leave them on the tower of death so that the vultures and other birds uh, consume the body. So much uh, they think it's a sacrilege to offer anything that is, as Sri Ramakrishna says, a mango that has been pecked by birds, which has already been eaten. You cannot offer it to the Lord. You have to offer something good. So fire was considered to be holy. The many other things, water was considered to be holy. Obviously, that helped in preventing pollution. In fact, the Ganges, Sri Ramakrishna never uh, performed his ablutions. He said it's a sacrilege to perform ablutions in Mother Ganga, who was again uh, deified by millions of people even today. So there are many traditions and customs which apparently appear as superstitions, but they are the result of a respect for life, a respect for the society or respect for the environment around us, which has given us in abundance the fire or the air that we breathe, everything is available for free. Nature is always giving without expecting any return, and we should not be destroying that to satisfy our greed. That is why all these rituals perhaps are were originally started by the primitive minds to request these forces not to show their evil face. In that context, we can understand why a pot containing ashes of cow dung and other substances are kept in the maternity room to ward off evil spirits. So, when a young child is born, according to the Hindu tradition, when we say the soul assumes a new body, it assumes enters into a new body because the concept of rebirth is that it chooses the type of body it wants to work out its karma. So each child is born with a baggage of karma which it has inherited in its previous lives. So that is the faith or that is the belief of karma and rebirth in Buddhism, in Jainism, and also in some of the Eastern religions, of course Hinduism. So it is believed that when the child is born, if the evil influences, just as you protect a child from evil influences by sending the child to a good school, seeing that he does not keep company of evil people. Our uh, Indian tradition, they believed that the evil influences can impact or that can influence the child even before it is born. So the very room where uh, the child is about to be born, they keep some ashes. Cow, as you know, cow dung is supposed to have properties. Maybe there is a scientific reason also because cow dung is considered to be very, it has properties, antiseptic properties. So they normally keep a pot of ashes of the cow dung. Once you burn anything, it can be a very good antiseptic. So that is the cheapest and the most natural way that antiseptics were made. Anything, even when you want to remove a thorn, if you see the old tradition is you take the needle, burn it in fire, even if there is this black soot or the black carbon deposit, I mean the fire turns it black, the thin needle, that is supposed to be very safe. That's the best way of disinfecting a needle or anything. So here also the Sri Ramakrishna just gives an example that when the pot containing ashes from the maternity room falls on one's feet, the even the magician in this case is one who performs magics or releases evil spirits. So there are many traditions which believe in the influence of evil spirits. They believe that these evil spirits can harm the future of, uh, especially when the child is born, and then they can influence that. I mean, they can create a bad influence. So they devise certain. I mean, these are rituals which you cannot explain scientifically, but anyway, these are the rituals, and Sri Krishna is quoting a particular tradition that was followed, where ashes of cow dung and other substances are kept in a pot. Many of the people would not even know what is the reason, but since it is a tradition, it was done. Then there are two classes of perfect souls. Now, this is a very important topic which Sri Krishna is discussing. One is sadhana siddha. One who is sadhana means the spiritual disciplines. One who is perfected by spiritual disciplines. So there are some souls or some jivas who, because of their the karma that they have inherited, they have to perfect themselves by performing spiritual disciplines. They are known as sadhana siddha, means they have to struggle very hard, practice spiritual disciplines, negate the effects of whatever evil karma they have inherited from birth after birth in this life, and then by the grace by the effort, by their self effort, they negate the evil effects of all the karma that they have inherited, and then they make spiritual progress. So such a person becomes perfect by his own effort. He is known as sadhana siddha. And the other is kripa siddha, perfected by the grace of God. So there are two ways. Though Sri Ramakrishna used to say one would have performed a lot of sadhana in the previous birth to enable or to receive the grace of the Lord in this birth. Apparently, the cause and effect theory seems to fail in this case, because we think that a person struggles so hard, and just as we try to compare it with similar situations in the secular world. Some person, some boy or some student studies very hard and he gets low marks, whereas and he doesn't do well in the exams. Whereas somebody, he's lucky. We say he's very lucky. He just reads a few books and then he gets very good marks. So how can you explain that discrepancy? Because if the effect is commensurate with the cause, or if the cause decides the effect, then apparently the law of cause and effect doesn't seem to work here. But the Hindus or the Vedas says, or the Indian tradition says, is, no effect is produced without a cause behind it. So to explain that, they say it is the merit that somebody has earned in the previous lives that comes to the help of Kripa Siddha. Though apparently we call it the grace of God, he has done something in his previous birth which explains that the Lord is gracious on him. It's not that he is partial. So that is why some of the people, there are so many parables Sri Ramakrishna has quoted. He had a wonderful way of explaining these things. And he used to say, apparently it appears that these people, there is a special grace of the Lord on these people. But how do we know whether what he has done over several hundreds of lives before to deserve that grace? We don't see that. We don't see the effort that has gone behind the Kripa Siddha, who apparently is perfected by the grace of God. So he doesn't seem to be doing any significant sadhana, whereas the other has to perform a lot of sadhana. But anyway, these two categories are seen in this world. Then he gives another example. Some people go to great trouble to bring water to their fields for a good harvest. They have to work very hard, channelize the water from a canal nearby. But otherwise, others are so lucky that they don't have to struggle at all. The rainfall fills their fields. One has to practice sadhana rigorously to save oneself from Maya. He who is a Kripa Siddha doesn't have to struggle. So here apparently Sri Ramakrishna is giving this example, classifying these two types of people as Kripa Siddhas, and immediately adds so that people don't they are not lax in their sadhana. They don't ignore. They say, oh, maybe we are the selected Kripa Siddhas, so let us wait for the Kripa or the grace of the Lord. But he says there are only one or two such people. A majority of them have to perform sadhana, or they are sadhana siddhas. So then he says, but there is another category. The different types of siddhas, they are the ever perfect ones. They are nitya siddhas. Now, what's the purpose he is explaining there? They are already spiritually awakened, in every life. Take, for example, a plugged fountain. The plumber, while doing something else, accidentally removes the obstruction and the water gushes forth from that fountain. Not that the water was not there, there was a small obstruction. This is how he explains Nitya Siddhas. They don't have to store water or store pressurized water which can then be released. It's already there, but on a small layer of some obstruction is preventing that water from gushing out. So when they see the love for God in an ever perfect person expresses itself for the first time, people are amazed. As I told you, I gave several examples how at least two major big examples, two of the famous composers, saints of two great epics, two great religious epics or great religious scriptures of the Hindus. One is Ramayana and Mahabharata. These are the two epics. If you see the background of both the authors of the creators of these two epics, they were very, if not wicked, they were very ordinary or very worldly people. In fact, one of them was a murderer. Valmiki had killed so many people. He was a robber and he used to loot people and sometimes even kill them or physically harm them to earn a living. And he transforms himself into the writer of or the composer of Ramayana, such a noble book, and his whole life is transformed by a single incident. Same thing with the famous Tulsidasa, who brought Valmiki's Ramayana into uh, who popularized Valmiki's Ramayana and in the Hindi language, which is the language of the in the Indian language, which was prevalent at that time. So that language, in that language, he wrote the Tulsi Ramayana, which is even today inspiring so many people. So this Tulsidas himself was a very worldly person, so much attached to his wife. But people wonder from where such bhakti or non-attachment and such intense love came. Because a few minutes before their transformation, they were apparently very worldly people. So they are not only Kripa Siddhas, but the fountain of spirituality was just obstructed by a little obstruction, which when the which was plugged, the fountain was plugged, and the plumber who came there accidentally, these incidents happened in their life, and there was a drastic transformation where the inherent spiritual tendency, like a fountain, plugged fountain, when it is the fountain is finds an outlet, it gushes forth. So Thakur is now talking of love for God, the love of gopis for Krishna, which was a kind of spontaneous love they had for Krishna. And in the meanwhile, some music begins to play, and Ramlal sings. It's a beautiful song, Natha Tumi Sarvasva Amar Pranadhar Saratsar. It's a very beautiful song. If you remember, I had mentioned once that Swami Shardanand who was a great disciple, a monastic disciple who wrote the great master, who wrote the beautiful biography of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Sharadananda, he was once told, or Sri Ramakrishna, somebody was singing this song, not in this context. Here, this song I think appears in the gospel or at least two or three times. Natha Tumi Sarvasva Amar. It is a nice poem. The meaning is so beautiful. After the whole song was over, Sri Ramakrishna tells Sardananji, if you remember this song and at least understand the meaning of even one sentence and assimilate it and apply it to your own life, in your own life, any one of the beautiful expressions or the beautiful bhava or the beautiful feeling associated with this song, that will be enough as a sadhana for your entire life. So Ramlal, who is related to Sri Ramakrishna, we used to call them Ramlal Dada. He was a nephew. So he sings this song. He had a nice voice, just as Sri Ramakrishna, but Sri Ramakrishna also has sung this song. So there are many occasions where this song was sung. It's a very popular song. It was a very popular song. The essence of this song is, O Lord, thou art my all, the support of my life, the essence of essences. Natha tumi sarvasva amar sarat sar. Sarat sar means you are the essence of the essences. There are many essential things in our life, but nothing as essential as you. That's the idea, that's the spirit. Since you are my all and you are the support of my life, then what other things can be more essential than you? You are the essence of all essences. Then he says, and the reason he says you are the essence of essences, because I have none but thee as my own in all these three worlds. According to the Hindu tradition, we speak of three worlds. The worlds, the Netherlands, the land below, the land on which we are living, and the heavens above. So that's how they figuratively they say these are the three worlds, because we have to live in one of these three worlds. There's no other way. So in all these three worlds, whether I am alive on this world or in heaven in a subtle form, I have none but thee as my own, because all the other people share a temporary relationship with me, no matter how dear they are. So they may accompany me till the end of this world. But what about the nether world? We do not know who are our own, in whose company we'll be living after we pass on to the other world, the heavenly world. So, but the only person who accompanies me or is my support or who's the essence of my essences is the Lord. It's a poem or it's a song addressed to uh, a personal God, though there is this is a Brahmo song, I think, because it doesn't refer to any particular God or avatara. It's just a song. The Lord, as if he is a impersonal God who may be formless, but at the same time he is a near and dear one. Then he says, "Thou art my joy, thou art my peace, my support, my refuge, my treasure, wealth, knowledge, intelligence, and strength." So everything that is worth acquiring or everything that one aspires for, I I know you are the source, you are my joy, because there is no higher joy than realizing you. This is a song which Sri Ramakrishna loved so much that he said even one sentence, one of the sentences or the idea behind one of these sentences of this whole song, if you remember and try to meditate on that, because in our Indian tradition, there are three ways an idea can be assimilated. First, it is Shravana, to hear or read the song. Then you meditate up, then you manana, you try to think what does it signify, what does it imply. So Sri Ramakrishna, very often after the song, he would give some examples, which we will see now. Every line of this song is giving some wonderful examples to show how these things could be understood. So everything that we hear, which is Shravana, the first step, is followed by Manana, thinking deeply. But still it is intellectual cogitation. Just think about it. Perhaps when you begin in an academic way, you go on listening, you go on hearing, and a stage comes when you feel that you should internalize this thought. It should it should become part of your psyche. So that is when nididhyasana comes. So the very word meditation means not thinking. If you think various thoughts, then it is not meditation. But if you think of the idea behind a thought and dive deeply into it, it is known as meditation. Otherwise, it is just mere concentration. You're just concentrating on something. The ideas are coming and they're going away without creating any impact on your mind or on your personality. It may create an impact on your mind, you may enjoy it, but it doesn't enter deep into your psyche. So, for that, the three stages that are described, whether it is a bhakti song of devotion or a song uh, explaining jnana or knowledge, whatever it is, it has to pass through these three stages. First is to become acquainted with the thought. Without that, it's not possible. That is why Shravana comes first, first hearing. Then comes Manana, thinking of what you heard. So all the hymns, all the prayers, they are to be taken as seriously. When somebody scolds us or uses certain words, see the tremendous impact it has. Maybe it is a simple sentence or a simple phrase that a person utters. But if you somehow don't like that phrase, you get terribly angry. See the reaction that follows. So these songs also, Sri Ramakrishna took so seriously that he said these songs sow the root of devotion, sow the seed of devotion in your psyche. Constantly repeating these songs, constantly repeating the holy name, they result in a sort of nididhyasana or meditation. So he used to tell, he especially told Swami Shardanandji that any of these lines, whatever line uh, you feel is good for you, you just meditate on it rather than just sing it or just hear about it. So there are so many situations. This song, the whoever has composed this song, he goes, he has taken so much pains, he has used every possible connection that you can possibly develop with the Lord. First, he says, you are the support of my life. Everybody knows that without the Lord's support, we cannot live, or without the eternal support of the Lord, we cannot live. Not only that, you are the essence of essences, so that I don't consider any other thing as essential than you. So you are the essence of essences. There may be other essential things which I might need to in this world, but all of them have a limited value. They are not eternal, they are transitory. They will serve their purpose, but ultimately we will seek something more sustainable, something more which can sustain us more, and then that leads us to the eternal Lord, who is the essence of all essences, Sarat Sar. Nahi tuma nahi tuma tribhuvane bolivar apranar means there is nobody in these three worlds, no matter how dear those people are to me or they are kind to me, all of them being of a transitory nature, will not survive death. You are the only one who will survive death. It will be my eternal companion. So, and what will you do? You are my joy. Thou art my joy, peace. Whenever I seek peace because of various disillusionment which we suffer because of the temporary nature of the world, whenever there is a disillusionment, we'll find that it is because of the transient nature of the world. We want to hold on to something and it eludes us. So that makes us peaceless, or uh, the lack of peace is the result. And then we want peace, so we want something sustainable who can ever be with us, who can be our support, refuge, treasure, wealth, whatever we think is uh, uh, will increase our wealth or which is valuable for us. There cannot be anything more valuable than Lord. That's the idea. Then you are my knowledge, intelligence, and also strength. Thou art my home, my rest, my relaxation, my friend and family. Thou art my present, the present circumstance in which you have placed me, my salvation, my future, and also my heaven. Thou art my scripture and injunctions too, because you have made it, because these injunctions are there, and because they have come from you, I follow them and I benefit from them. Thou art my wish yielding Guru, the fountainhead of my never ending bliss. Thou art the means, the end, thou art the creator, the sustainer, and the adorable one. Then he says something very nice. He says, even in this temporary relationship with our parents, we still have make a distinction between the father and the mother. So that has been ascribed to God also. So whenever you are chastising me, you are like the chastising father, but at the same time you are the tender-hearted mother. Danda Data Pita Sneha Mai Mata. That is the Bengali. Beautiful. It's a beautiful poem. If you sing in a tune, it's such a nice song. Danda Data Pita means one who punishes me when I make mistakes. But you are not just the father. You are also the tender-hearted mother who pardons me or who forgives me. So you see, there is every relationship. And then finally he says, you are the pilot who steers me across the sea of life. So no matter how wavy the waters may be, the ship is in safe hands. If you are the pilot, you are steering the ship across the turbulent ocean of samsara. So Sri Ramakrishna now tells the devotees, oh, what a beautiful song! Thou art my all in all. The milkmaid said to Radha, the milkmaids who were the friends of Radha, uh, when Akrur was an uncle of Sri Krishna, you all know Sri Krishna was hardly 13 or 12. I think he was even less than that. He was 12 years when he left Vrindavan, and this young boy was taken away, and the gopis felt very sad. So the milkmaids who were the companions who considered Sri Krishna as their Lord, they all went to Radha and said, this Akrur has come. You know, once he leaves Vrindavan, he doesn't come back. He's taken away, then his education and everything. After that, he becomes the king of Dwarka. I mean, he establishes the kingdom of Dwarka, and Sri Krishna never returns to Vrindavan. So, but still, the gopis were so much attached or so devoted to him that they say, see, this Akrura has come. Actually, Krura means one who is cruel. Because the name suggests that he is not cruel, Akrura. But at the same time, you will find that because he has come to take Krishna away from the gopis, they are all complaining to Radha, see this wicked uncle of Krishna, he has come to take him away. Maybe he'll never return back. So, O Radha, he has come to steal your entire wealth. They all knew that if somebody can stop Krishna or Krishna from going away, it is Radha. But they didn't know that Sri Krishna was never attached to anyone in his whole life. That is the beautiful personality of Krishna. Somebody asked Swami Vivekananda once, what is the greatness you see in Sri Krishna? He says it is because of his non-attachment. In fact, Mahatma Gandhi, who wrote a beautiful commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, he has named the commentary Anasakti Yoga. He says the whole Gita explains very strongly what non-attachment is. And Sri Krishna is the personification. A person who was so much loved by the gopis and all the other devotees, including his mother Yashoda, he is so detached, so independent. So he even does not. I mean, once he leaves Vrindavan, he doesn't even come back. But that doesn't decrease Radha's love for Sri Krishna, because that was not based on the temporary Krishna that she saw, the boy Krishna whom she worshipped. She knew that Sri Krishna is eternal. So that is why this relationship with the Lord, Sri Ramakrishna is emphasizing. You have to understand this, the meaning of this song, to understand that it is the eternal Lord that is dear to us, not that changes. So no matter how loving or dear a person is, uh, so the milkmaids were, of course, not as advanced as Radha. So they thought that if we, because they were really feeling missing, they thought they will really miss Sri Krishna if he goes away. So they are trying to tell her that all your wealth is being stolen because you loved him so much and he is going away. So such love, such longing they had for Bhagwan. Of course, Sri Ramakrishna sees the positive side. He said they were so attached to him, the devotion to that eternal Krishna, though they did not consider him to be eternal at that time, except Radha. So that is the kind of longing he says. Then another song, there are so many beautiful songs, the wonderful life of Sri Krishna. If you see, uh, there's so many songs. This incident where Akrura is taking away the child Krishna, whom these gopis loved, all of them try to hold the wheels of the chariot. And then the song, the poet's imagination, you should see. He says, the gopis, because of their ignorance, they try to hold the wheel of the chariot in which he was about to leave Vrindavan for good. Everybody knew that he's not going to come back again. So they try to hold the chariot. And then there is a beautiful song which says, does the you see there are two chariots. There is a Sudarshan Chakra which has the shape of a chariot, which is supposed to be Vishnu's or Krishna's weapon, though he never used it in his life. Uh, the, the weapon that is used is known as Sudarshan Chakra. Chakra means a wheel. So this has a double meaning, this song. Does the chariot of him who wields the Sudarshan Chakra and who moves the world around and around with his wheels of power need any wheels? O milkmaids, don't hold the wheels of the chariot back. You see the imagination of the poet. They said, how long you will hold the wheels? He is the one who wields the Sudarshan Chakra. The wheel is controlled by him. By wheel here, they don't mean the physical wheels of the chariot, they mean the wheel of life. Time doesn't stop for anyone. The wheel of life is always going round and round, no matter how much. And in a poetic way, they say, the wheel, one who wields the Sudarshan Chakra and who has the wheel of our life in his control, how can you stop him? By just holding on. Don't hold the wheels of the chariot back. Allow him to go. That is how destiny will destiny works. The one whose hands is the wheel of destiny is in his hands, and you are trying to hold the wheels of his chariot. So these lines refer to the incident when the milkmaids held back the wheels of Sri Krishna's chariot from moving when he was to go to Mathura with Akrur. First he goes to Mathura, which is very near, not very far, but still, in those days it was a long distance, and that was the last time perhaps these gopis could meet him. So he says, the song says, then there are other songs which are being sung, which have not been described in great detail. So while listening to this song, Sri Ramakrishna dives deep in the sea of Samadhi. Now you see, he has not only done Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, the meditation has turned into something known as Samadhi, sea of Samadhi. He's so absorbed in this wonderful idea of the eternal nature of the eternal Krishna that the devotees are all amazed. Just one song was enough to uh, force him into, or just casually make him go into this deep samadhi. We have to force ourselves when we sing a song to understand the meaning and get focused on that and dive deep into the meaning of that song. Whereas here, just the song was being sung and he just goes into the deeper aspects of that song. It's such a beautiful song that he just goes into samadhi. It is very quiet everywhere. No movement is made. Thakur is merged in samadhi. This was a normal phenomena. It is with great difficulty they would make him come back to the normal plane so that he can converse with us. He sits there with folded hands as is seen in the photograph. Tears of joy trickle down the outer corners of his eyes. Thakur returns to the normal state of consciousness after quite some time. He is in a very deep state of samadhi. But what was he talking about with him? What was he talking about with him whom he has seen in samadhi? He was as if he was talking to someone when he was in that deep state. Some words, faint words, reach the ears of the devotees. Thakur speaks indistinctly to himself. You are I am you. You eat, I eat you. Beautiful indeed, you do it all. That means his feeling is oneness at that stage with the eternal creation. The idea that everything is full of divinity. Even in the evil, he sees divinity. So that's why he says, I eat you or you eat me. He sees the play of the divine, though he sees Prakriti. That is what Tantras are all about. The Shakti Puja that we do. We don't worship Shakti as only a positive force, the kind divine mother. We also worship her as Kali, the all destroyer. We worship both the aspects of the divine mother. So when you see both, when you see that display of creation cannot be one-sided, there cannot be a utopia, there cannot be just pleasure and everything peaceful. The very nature of the world is such, the very nature of Shakti is such that it goes about in a cycle. So there is this creation, there is some kind of preservation for some time, and then there is destruction. So the gross is always transforming itself from creation to preservation to destruction. So that whole play, as it were, the play of Prakriti is coming before his eyes. So he says, you are I am you, you eat, I eat you. That means all the things that you see in this world, which are of temporary nature, they are self-destructive. So one has to rise beyond that and reach the plane of pure consciousness or Purusha. That is the idea. You do it all. That means he is understood the essence of what Shakti is. She is doing everything. She is the one who gives birth. She is the one who kills. She is the one who destroys. Then Sri Ramakrishna is asking in that very high mood of his, he says, are my eyes jaundiced? I see you everywhere. Even though he's trying to see a normal world as we see it, seeing good on one side, evil on another side, trying to compare who is superior, who is inferior, all this competition and other competitive world that we see, he doesn't see. He sees the same mother in the evil, he sees the same mother in the uh, positive side of creation. Everywhere he sees. That's why he says, for a jaundiced eye, everything appears yellow. He says, is it because of that I see mother everywhere? Or is it really so? O Krishna, the friend of the lowly and beloved of my soul, Govinda. Saying this, beloved of my soul and Govinda, he again enters into samadhi. Absolutely still and unable to take their eyes off him, the devotees see Sri Ramakrishna in a very deep ecstatic state. So these words full of God consciousness that effect was so much that in that state of samadhi, though he's sitting on, there are two cots if you go to Dakshineshwar. One is the bigger cot and the smaller cot where he used to sit and give talks. So he's sitting there. Just imagine a situation where he has come down twice from samadhi, speaking such strange sentences, and others saying, who is a deputy magistrate, a very important post which he held in the British administered India. To become a deputy magistrate was a great achievement. So this is his second visit to Thakur. He is just 29 or 30 years old. He was a young person, very promising, highly educated. And Sharada Charan, a friend of Adar, is grieving the loss of his son. Sharada Charan was a deputy inspector of schools. He is now retired and receives a pension. He has been practicing meditation and prayer even before his retirement. But nothing consoles him after the death of his elder son. That is why Adar, having mentioned Thakur's name to him, has brought him here with the hope that he gets some kind of consolation. Adar had also been wanting to see Thakur again. Sri Ramakrishna's Samadhi ends. He sees the room full of devotees looking at him and then mumbles something to himself. Is the Lord taking and instructing from his lips? So, Sri Ramakrishna is still trying to come down to the normal plane. He is in Samadhi. And these people who have come with all the problems, expecting the problems to be solved, will have to wait for some time before he can address their problems. And he addresses them in a very unique way. The person who has come, whom even other saint could not console because he lost his eldest son. It's such a uh, uh, pain to see one's own children dying in front of so this person, Sharda Charan, who has come, and he's a retired person, and imagine the grief that he has. So Sri Ramakrishna, in that mood, he's not conscious of the problem of Sharda Charan at that time. Or even if he is, he has his own way of solving the problem. He says it is seldom that worldly people are able to show spiritual wisdom. Only occasionally, like the flame of a lamp. No, no, it is like the ray of the sun. Flame of the lamp is continuous. First he says like the flame of a lamp. Then he says no, the flame of a lamp is continuous. He says just like a rays of a sun. Only when it peeps through a chink in the wall. So that is what he says. It is as difficult for a worldly person to show signs of real wisdom, spiritual wisdom. It is as difficult as the sun rays peeping through the chink in the small crack in the wall. Now and then, when the sun is in the right position, a little light comes, and we think the light is shining, but then it vanishes. It's only possible for worldly people to repeat the Lord's name and not feel his love. It is like a child saying, I swear by God. He's not really what Sri Ramakrishna says. He has learned these words from his quarreling aunts. When we say we swear by God, we are not at all serious. Otherwise, we will not never use that word. But we are so insensitive that these quarreling aunts very often say, I swear by God, and tell all sorts of lies. Now, the children have learned this. So, Sri Ramakrishna very humorously says, it is just like children saying, I swear by God. They are not at all serious, just as the senior aunts, the elderly aunts who are quarreling are not serious. The child also just repeats. He's just parroting the words like we repeat the Lord's name. So he says how rare it is for someone to repeat the Lord's name with love. Normally we just repeat the Lord's name. We don't have affection or love. So then he gives a lot of examples. It's a very long conversation, and he is just trying to compare what Real devotion is with the devotion that we normally encounter when somebody swears by God, saying that I believe in God, I have respect for God. It is as casual or they lack in seriousness. So it's just like children learning this swearing uh, after hearing the quarreling of these elderly aunts. So then Sri Ramakrishna just gives a small example and we'll stop. He says worldly people have no grit. I mean, those who are so much engrossed in the world that they don't want, it doesn't matter for them whether they succeed or not. They will never ask the questions. We have entered spiritual life, we have taken to the spiritual life. Are we making progress? Because they are not serious. If they dig a well for water but strike a rock, they don't care. They stop digging and look for another spot. That is what happens when people take to spiritual life. They try one technique. Okay, I go there, somebody says this is good. I try it out for some time. They encounter a rock. They don't dig deep enough. They'll go to another place. They go to another guru, another uh, idea, or another path, not knowing that any path, if followed sincerely, will lead to the goal. But they don't have the patience. He said, if they find sand in the next spot, they give up that spot too. If they had continued to dig at the original spot where they encountered the rock, sooner or later they would have found water there. So this is how Sri Ramakrishna is trying to explain the importance of Ishtanishta, of sticking to one particular spiritual practice, and the lukewarm nature of people who are not serious about spiritual life, or those who are casual about their spiritual inclinations. They just don't have the patience to dig deep enough. So he gives these wonderful examples. You see, it doesn't deal with the beauty about this gospel of Sri Ramakrishna is the highest philosophy, the highest whatever philosophy you need for understanding true spirituality, Vedanta, Tantra, and all the systems of thought. It's such a synthesis of all spiritual systems. But he makes it so easy that giving these wonderful examples, it not only satisfies the intellect, not only tells us what is the essence of Vedanta, what is the essence of Tantra, what is the essence of the different system of philosophical thought without going into the polemics and trying to be very academic. But through these wonderful stories, he and songs. See, you should not underestimate the value of these songs. They were written by people who had deep spiritual, mystical experiences. These are not songs composed by any Tom, Dick, or Harry. He, some of these songs are very traditional songs sung for several hundreds of years, come down in a tradition and with deep meaning. And every one of the songs, if you see the 176 songs selected in the gospel, of course, that is a limited period when Master Mashay or M recorded this. If he had recorded more conversation, there would have been more songs. Obviously, there were many, many more songs which Sri Ramakrishna used to refer to or sing. But here we get, even in these songs and the meaning that is associated with these songs, you get enough philosophy which you would get after churning all the different systems of thought after undergoing academic training of different philosophical subjects. He gives these things in a essence in this book. So now yeah, we'll conclude that. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu